from Rodrygo, who was put in by Vinicius Junior. City looked for an offside against Bellingham, he wasn't. Then they looked for an offside against Vinicius Junior, he wasn't. Rodrygo hit the shot, it was parried by the goalkeeper Ederson, but straight back to Rodrygo, who finished it. City have had plenty of other opportunities. The closest they've come was when they struck the bar with a Haaland header, and on the rebound Bernardo Silva couldn't help it over the line. And so at half-time in this quarter-final second leg of the UEFA Champions League, it is City 0, Real Madrid 1. The visitors lead 4-3 on aggregate. Well, let's go back to the studio and we can join Cal.
So, welcome back to Matchday Live with me, Cel Spellman, and with David, Steph and Nedum. It is half-time at the Etihad Stadium, not the score any City fans want to see. Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1. They are leading currently 4-3 on aggregate. Nedum, unbelievable first half of football. What were your thoughts and overall assessment of it?
Initially, I was surprised how much pressure Real Madrid was showing higher up the field, but then as the game progressed, they dropped back a little bit. But they're very clever because they give you this illusion of them not necessarily engaging with you, but the moment you get into one of their traps, there's so many quick turnovers, and we're seeing like Bellingham make a running behind, Vinicius Junior make a running behind, you know, and like you can see their threat. And it's fair play to them. I think individually as well at the back, they've defended City overall pretty well. But I like the fact that City have had chances. You know, they've obviously had those set pieces, but it's just about you know, getting the ball across the line, getting that goal. Because as the game progresses, you know, you want to take more risks, but Madrid will be even more set up to go and try and hit you on the break. It
was one of them, wasn't it, Steph, as well? We're going to kind of go into key moments of the game. We'll speak about the goal in a second, but it did feel after the goal, then City almost went up a gear, and particularly those last 15 minutes, Real Madrid were having to take on a lot of pressure, which is cause for hope moving into the second half. Yeah,
I think we reacted really well after the goal. I think we kind of took the game to them a little bit more, with a little bit more rhythm, a little bit more tempo. Jack has been involved in it a lot. I think De Bruyne has had a lot of chances to be able to maybe pull it back to the six and maybe chose the wrong option. But yeah, I think in terms of pressure, I think we have put them under pressure. I think we've got to be cautious that when the ball breaks, they've got players that can run in behind. I think Vinicius is playing a little bit more narrow, so it actually causes Guardiola and Diaz a little bit of a problem because he is that narrow. It's like who picks him up, who runs in behind. But overall, I think there's a goal in this for us, and I think we need to get it quite quick because I think the more that Real Madrid are getting more comfortable with sitting on the edge of the box and being compact, it'll suit them that they feel a bit more comfortable in that. So I'm sure Pep will do some tactical work at half-time, but I think what we showed the last 30 minutes especially, it is promising. It really is, and I think, as we know, Pep has always got those changes. We do always start second halves well. David, just looking at the stats, being our stat man.
Can you explain the Madrid saves and total attempts thing? I'm a bit confused by that. Or am I just missing something?
Total shots. 5. Yeah, there were 3 shots on target, all in the first 12 minutes.
So 5 attempts, but then 5 saves, or am I seeing
something? No. They've made 5 saves. So Lunin's made 5 saves.
But we've had 3, but it's only 3 attempts on target.
The other way around.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Thank you, David. I think, actually, a good point with regards to the shots on target. I mean, when you think that Real Madrid had their 3 shots in the space of, I think, of a couple of minutes, including the goal, obviously. It kind of lets you think that City have really dominated this first half. And corners, the 9 corners to 0, everything's kind of leaning in the right way except the scoreline.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talked about Jude Bellingham before the game, didn't we? The touch for Jude Bellingham to get in a position to get the ball out wide was just ridiculous. And I didn't appreciate it when it first happened because you're hoping he's offside. But he just showed why he's doing very well at the moment.
He is. He really is. Well, we're focusing on that. So he took the ball, and there was arguments, or there was question of offside.
A couple of times, yeah. It was a long ball in, and he's basically just chopped it in the air with his left foot into a position to play out wide. And again, this is one of the things that I think we've all suffered as players, or supporters even. Rodrygo hits it with his shin, forces Ederson into a superb save, and the superb save falls straight back to Rodrygo to put in the back of the net. So very unfortunate in that sense, but I think, as I say, most of the metrics are in City's favour. So in a strange way, you wouldn't be unhappy being in that City change room at the moment.
moving into that second half. Thank you, David. Nice to hear that. Needed that. Yeah. But let's go in then. As the game progressed, we had around then the 18-minute mark. So Rodrygo's goal went in on the 12th. As Steph said, then we kind of reacted. Then there was the first chance where De Bruyne pulled it back. It was blocked. Then the second time he did it, Haaland header hits the post, and where it fell to Rodrygo quite favourably, it didn't for Bernardo.
Yeah,
it was the header as well. Was a great header.
Yeah, it felt to him as if his legs have been lassoed. You know what I mean? It's not it's not great, but you know they have had opportunities. They've had touches in the Real Madrid box. You can see that they are creating opportunities, but it's just in my mind just a little bit of decision making as well with some of the passes. I think they could have had probably 2 or 3 more shots should that final pass have been just a fraction better.
Yes,
but it's good to see that at times they can break that Real Madrid sort of loose press. And the reason I think that's good is because, I'll be honest, forwards, they don't really want to defend, do they? They'll do it for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But after a while, they get bored. It's no surprise that some of the opportunities City have had have been when they've been able to sort of inject a bit more tempo centrally and then try and create some isolations out wide. And
then when we have managed to do that, it has resulted, one, in quite a few shots, couple of saves, but then there's been quite a few corners off the back of that stuff. We've been talking, there's been something quite deliberate happening, particularly with Kev's corners from the in-swingers, sticking it right on the keeper. So maybe something could be coming from a set piece in the second half.
Yeah, I think I was saying to David before, I remember City doing this at Spurs away in the FA Cup, and we kept on putting them on the keeper, and I think all of us at home were going, why do you keep doing the same corner? But then it comes to the last 5 minutes and Ake scores. So there's obviously a plan to try and put him under pressure and really test him, and he's had to tip some over the bar. And I think sometimes you do this to then maybe surprise them with a different one. So hopefully that might happen in the second half. But I think that just adds to the pressure. We are getting corners, we are putting balls in the box, and we've got strong headers. And I think it might be a little bit more of timing of the run, or whether Kev's delivery isn't supposed to go there. We had that discussion before, but I think for me it's more just about timing and making sure that you get the first contact rather than the keeper coming out and punching it.
For sure. Akanji as well, we all kind of spoke about when watching the game. Playing brilliantly there. He's done some driving runs from the right-hand side, down the middle. Defensively, he's been great. He's been very impressive.
He has. And I'm going to lean a little bit on the idea that he is the defender more so than the cultured midfielder, which John Stones is, and maybe even jump forward to a question that you might ask, what's going to happen in the second half, because there was a couple of times there, one in particular, like Nedum was saying, that City have got through this passive block. The ball goes into Akanji, and I think we all said, oh, that's the one that John Stones turns in one and then goes for the goal. And then at this occasion, Akanji had a couple of touches, by which time Real Madrid were all set up. Given the balance of the game at the moment, it's whether what's on the field at the moment, Akanji included, is enough to change it. And I think the likes of John Stones may be called upon if Akanji can't make that little touch forward. It's not to say he's not played well, it's just those slight differences that are needed to change the game.
I've had a question or a point come in on X saying, do we think that maybe, I'm purely just reading this out, by the way.
Yeah. Did you tweet it yourself or what?
No, I don't really go on Twitter.
You don't go.
No, it's not for me.
No, that's because you go on X now.
Yeah, exactly.
But said maybe Kevin De Bruyne and Foden can't play in the same team effectively.
It's a wild take.
Wow.
It's a wild take.
Debates. Listen, I'm here for the people at home.
Yeah, I'm not keen on that one. Feels like an overreaction. Yeah, I think obviously they occupy sort of similar spaces at times and so on. But when Phil's asked to go out wide on that side, he'll be trying to link up with Kevin. I'm sure Phil, when he looks inside, he wants to see a familiar face like a Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah,
when he plays the pass, I think he'll make a run again because he knows Kevin De Bruyne can play him in. So I don't necessarily agree with that at all. I think you can have it as a general talking point, but having those types of players on the field for me is always a good thing.
There was something that happened, I think I said to you, Steph, in the first leg last week. We start with Bernardo more in the middle, Foden out right, and then in the second half he kind of swapped it round. So maybe that could happen in the second half here, move Phil back into that and then Bernardo out wide, possibly. Yeah,
potentially. I think Foden really hasn't been in the game that much this first half. I think a lot of his passes have been to De Bruyne square or maybe backwards, and that might be fair play to Madrid because they won't want Foden to be getting the ball. But it will be interesting if Foden goes in that A position, De Bruyne comes more towards Jack Grealish's side, and they link up quite well together. So there's something that we could do to change, and we know that Bernardo can do a job on that right wing in terms of tracking back, but also creating stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and as well, Jack's also been a threat. We've got Carvajal also on a yellow card there as well, so he does miss the next game, but he has been penetrating down that left-hand side as well, David.
Yeah, and I was thinking this as well about what happened second half, because the question mark did come up, well, the question came up, didn't it, early in that first half, whether this was a Doku game. And I was thinking maybe not, but now Carvajal is booked. Does he want Jack to slow ball him and maybe get a cross in, or does he want Doku just to keep running at him? And I think he would prefer Jack in the current situation, because obviously they haven't conceded, rather than thinking that Doku is going to be trying to take him on every 2 minutes.
That's a great point.
Then they go and change Carvajal, of course. But the point is, I think that if you're going to force the issue, then perhaps Jack could be sacrifice for Doku.
To be fair, another thing as well, after Carvajal got that yellow, we then started to see Jack coming up against Valverde a lot. It's almost like Real Madrid sort of read and sensed it and said, you know, because Valverde's putting an incredible amount of work in anyway, but I think the comfort they can have in saying, well, we'll just rotate someone else out to go and try and deal with it. I think that maybe negates the possibility.
There was a couple of times there, though, where Jack was faced up with Carvajal. Carvajal's in the box, and you're thinking, Jack's not going to take you on. He's kind of either look for the little cross or the knockback, whereas Doku just
full speed ahead.
I don't know whether Pep trusts Doku at this moment, and this is not being but a defensive. Like, I mean, we've seen Carvajal run further forward, where Jack's tracking him all the way, and I think that's Doku's learning in this system is probably going back towards his own goal. Like we said, like attackers don't really want to defend, and for all his attributes going forward, I think maybe that might be in his head. The last 20, 15 minutes, that if we need a goal, then of course. But I think in this moment in time, I'm like,
I wasn't suggesting half time. But
no, I mean, but I'm saying in general, I think unless Real Madrid score, which hope they don't, we get a goal early. But I think that's when we'll see Doku when we need to score.
Agree, 15, 20 minutes. I totally agree on that. Moving in off that as well then, anyone else you'd maybe turn to? Nedum, Alvarez on the bench?
Yeah, so this is, for me, one of the issues with football. So you see all the things that you can have, but then to have it, you need to replace someone else.
Yes.
And everyone that's on the field there, you've got trust in them. Like, are you going to take off Bernardo? Are you going to take off Kevin? Are you going to take off Phil? Are you going to take off Jack? Are you going to take off Erling? Like, no, because you know what they can do. And even in that first half, even though they're 1-0 down, you know, they'll believe that it should be 1-1. You know what I mean? They'll believe that they maybe could have scored another one as well. And it's not as if Real Madrid have stopped them from being able to create anything, because what's the stat? They'd had 12 shots or 14 shots or something?
Yes,
That's a lot of shots, and it's not like they're taking them all from 30 yards out. So I think for me, it's more a case of, you know, same again, but just hopefully take the opportunity and then ride that wave if you end up being dominant for a little spell.
Lovely stuff. Well, thank you to everyone in the studio. Thank you to you for watching at home. You can see on your screens there, the boys are in the tunnel at the Etihad Stadium, so still a big 45 minutes ahead for this game against Real Madrid. It is currently Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1, but fingers crossed when you come join us at full time, we'll be talking about a Man City winners progressing into the next round. But a lot of hard work and energy to come to make that happen. But I have faith, I'm sure you do too. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at full time. Come on, City.
Thank you, Kel. Welcome back to the Etihad Stadium. Well, 11 times this season, the Blues have conceded the first goal and then turned the match around to either draw or win the game. In fact, 8 of those 11 games, the Blues have turned around and won. 3 of them, they've come back and drawn. Remember, only a draw will be sufficient to take this to extra time. That'll be fine. Remember, only as recently as the away game at Crystal Palace, the Blues conceded the opening goal, came back and won handsomely by 4 goals to 2. Twice this season they've come from behind in the Champions League to win. And remember, in all games they've played this season in the Champions League,